Back from the weekend or back from spring break, thanks for spending part of your day with CNN Student News. Sitting in for Carl Azuz, I'm Krishan Saunders. Richard Phillips, the captain of the Maersk, Alabama, is free. We have some good news for you. Phillips, on the right in this photo, had been held hostage by a group of 4 pirates since last Wednesday when they attempted to hijack the cargo ship. U.S. forces moved to rescue Phillips yesterday after seeing that his life was in imminent danger on the lifeboat where he was being held. 3 of the pirates were shot and killed. The 4th, who was involved in negotiations on board a Navy ship at the time, is in custody. Christians around the world celebrated the Easter holiday yesterday. Pope Benedict XVI led a ceremony in St. Peter's Square at the Vatican, home of the Catholic Church. Tens of thousands of people gathered to hear the Pope's annual Easter greeting, which he delivered in 63 languages. During the service, Pope Benedict called for renewed peace efforts between Israelis and Palestinians. And back here in the U.S., parts of Tennessee and Arkansas are recovering right now after deadly tornadoes ripped through the states late last week. 5 people were killed by the storms and dozens of others were injured. Officials say the severe weather damaged more than 100 homes in Arkansas, more than 250 homes in Tennessee. Severe weather wreaking havoc on the southwestern U.S. as well, where wildfires blazed a destructive path across parts of Oklahoma and Texas recently. Oklahoma's governor declared a state of emergency for 31 counties. That will help free up some government resources for the recovery process. Strong winds fanned these flames, which engulfed hundreds of structures. Ed Lavandera reports on the damage.
Valerie Waxenfelter and her 2 children were home alone when smoke started filling up her backyard. Her husband, Matt, a Navy officer, was deployed to Iraq less than 2 weeks ago.
Kept watching out my back window and watching the smoke get heavier and heavier. The next thing I know, that there's a volunteer fireman in my backyard.
After violent winds sparked massive wildfires across Oklahoma and Texas, firefighters battled flames in only a few isolated parts of Oklahoma on Friday. The winds have eased, helping calm the fires. Firefighters raced to save what they could. As you can see, many homes came dangerously close to going up in flames. But firefighters describe an eerie scene, describing fireballs flying across the sky, landing in neighborhoods like this. And as you can see, not everyone was so lucky. Chester Lyles returned to his home after evacuating and discovered the 2 houses next door to his burned to the ground.
I'm amazed. I mean, how it jumped from house to house and took my neighbors and left mine, I have no idea. No idea.
In Oklahoma, more than 100 homes and businesses were scorched by the fires, but in Texas, the fires proved deadly. Matt Quinn, a former television reporter, and his wife were killed when flames swept across their property in Montague County. Residents here say the fires moved at blazing speeds.
Oh, we can see it coming. You can see it coming right over there. It looks like it was going to go around us, but the wind changed directions out of the west and it come right to us.
Valerie Waxenfelter seems unfazed by the loss.
It's stuff, though. You know what I mean? It's stuff. So my kids, they're having a harder time with it than I am, which is understandable. But it's stuff. My kids, I got them. I'm good.
A Navy wife who survived quite a battle of her own. Ed Lavandera, CNN, Midwest City, Oklahoma.
See if you can ID me. I was formally established in 1802. I'm a branch of the U.S. Army whose members work on military and civilian projects. I'm the leading federal agency when it comes to flood control. I'm the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and one of my responsibilities is running a safety program for the country's levees.
And we want to let you know that program gives the Army Corps of Engineers the authority to inspect levees and see if they need maintenance. You see, levees prevent floods, but when they're breached or broken, they can lead to severe flooding, like in New Orleans, you may remember, following Hurricane Katrina. As Gene Meserve explains, officials are working on a new way to avoid a similar disaster.
Into position, getting ready to drop, and away they go.
After Katrina, helicopters dropped huge sandbags trying to plug gaping holes in the levees. It took weeks while lives and communities were destroyed. Now the Army Corps of Engineers believes it has come up with a system that could stem the flow of water in just a few hours.
By our calculations, it would have saved at least about 1.5 feet of flooding. Direct costs, $1.5 billion, indirect costs, an awful lot more.
In a demonstration 1/4 life size, a narrow channel is dug in a levee. Within 15 minutes, the water is rushing through. An ultra-strong tube partially filled with water and air is guided into position. The floodwaters help roll the tube up the slope of the levee. The flexible tube conforms to the shape of the breach and stops most of the water. Scientists say a life-sized version could plug a hole 50 feet wide and 20 feet deep, could be choppered anywhere and deployed within hours. The cost, unknown, but this prototype ran about $20,000. The Department of Homeland Security funded the research.
If we could put this in full scale and it stops breaches and levees, you know, the lives and the money saved from the destruction caused by that is tremendous.
No one knows that better than Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana. It saw levee breaches in Katrina and again during Hurricanes Gustav and Ike. The parish's superintendent of flood control says this new approach to levee repair could be a game changer in flood fighting and would love to see a real life-size test in his community.
I would rather see money spent on this as opposed to recovery.
Here's the deal. Today's money word is tax. It's money that is paid to a government. Taxes paid by individuals may include income tax, property tax, and sales tax. Put that in your word bank.
Taxes are what we pay for civilized society. Those are the words of former Supreme Court Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes. But when you talk to people about preparing their taxes, they might be anything but civil, especially around this time of year. It can be a complicated process, but it's also one that's absolutely required. Carla Zeus explores how it all got started.
Form 1040A, business profit or loss, self-employment tax, itemized deductions. If the forms sound complicated, just wait for the math.
Filing taxes is one way we do use the stuff we learned in school. There are write-offs, receipts, investments, donations, and complicated computations surrounding them all. If all this makes you mad at the IRS, you could blame Abe Lincoln. The historically popular president created the less than popular agency to collect taxes to help the Union pay for the Civil War. But the real blame should be on the 16th Amendment and the states that ratified it, because that's what authorized Congress to collect income tax. Back in 1913, when the amendment was ratified, federal income taxes were only 1% unless you were super rich. Now, they average 28%. And those taxes are due every April 15th, a date determined in 1954. So don't ask someone for a loan on April 14th. In fact, don't call him at all if he's stressed and grumbling about anything taxable. As recently as a couple years ago, this was the norm. Lines wrapped around the post office. Last-minute tax filers cramming like students for a term paper. Now there's electronic filing, which makes things more convenient, if not more fun. But you gotta do it. Paying taxes is the law. And if you're wondering where all the money's going, national defense, Social Security, and health and medical care generally get the biggest pieces of the pie. Each president can adjust what goes here and there as he sees fit, as long as Congress agrees with him.
As far as the rest of us are concerned, most folks will tell you all this is just plain taxing. Carla Zeus, CNN Student News.
So, how can you figure out your taxable income? And what's the difference between a progressive tax and a proportional one? You'll find all the answers along with dozens of other money words in our online financial glossary. This free, yes, free resource is in the Spotlight section on cnnstudentnews.com. Check it out and expand your economic IQ. Okay, you gotta check this out. Before we go, if you think burglars can't be beasts, you don't know Jack. Don't let the friendly face fool you. Jack here has a secret, and now his owner is airing out all of the felonious feline's dirty laundry. You see, Jack has been leading a double life. By day, mild-mannered pet. By night, nefarious cat burglar. The criminal kitty's been breaking into neighbors' houses and stealing their stuff for months until his owner discovered the truth. It was the perfect crime. That steals the last of our time for today. For CNN Student News, I'm Krishan Saunders.